Hey guys, this is MusicTechHelpGuy, and in this video I want to show you how to create your own custom mixing macro controls using smart controls in Logic Pro. With this method you can control multiple parameters of multiple effects inserts at once with a single control, or you can build your own custom set of controls like I'm going to do in this video. I have a new upcoming song here called Run from Sophia VERAZ. A big thanks to Sophia for letting me use the song in this video, and I've actually already mixed two of her other songs before, so you can check out Highways and Can I on all major streaming platforms, and I'll leave links to her socials and music in the video description below. Alright, so let's see what these vocals sound like completely bone dry.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell.
Okay, so I want to add some EQ, some saturation, some more top-end clarity, maybe some low-end body, some compression as well. And using macro controls for this is great because you can create custom signal chains, and you just create the signal chain once, then save it as a channel strip setting that you can recall at any time. And this should work with most third-party plugins as well. On the channel strip for the vocals, I'm going to add the channel EQ first, and then after that, I'm going to add the vintage console EQ, which is a Neve style EQ. After that, I'm going to add two compressors. So the first compressor is going to be an optical compressor. This is going to be to sort of smooth out the dynamics. The second stage of compression is going to be the Studio FET, and that's going to be to round off any transients. So if you're not aware, optical compression has a really slow attack time. So while it does a really great job of smoothing out the dynamics overall, the front end transients of words and phrases can still pop through. So I always prefer a two-stage vocal compression like this, where you have one stage of opto compression and then a second stage of FET compression just to round off any transients. This is the same thing I do in the studio. I start with an EQ, then I'll go through the LA2A, then I'll go through an 1176, and I always seem to get the best result that way. So I'm going to sort of mimic that character here in Logic. And then after the compressor, I'm going to add the De-Esser 2 plugin. And personally, I like de-essing after EQ and compression. I know some people prefer it before the compression, but personally, I prefer just a very gentle de-essing after the EQ and compression. But you can do this any way you like. So I'm going to start with the two EQs and the de-esser, and I'll come back to the compressors in just a bit. So I'll just go ahead and deactivate these. And I'm going to press B to pull up my smart controls, or you can click up here to hide and show the smart controls panel. Now you want to make sure that you're on the track mode here, but what you also want to do is click on this little I button, and you'll see that there are already several macro controls built in here. Logic automatically sets this up, but these only control one parameter at a time. I want to control multiple parameters. So I'm going to click on this little icon here, and I'm going to select Delete All Patch Mappings. And what that'll do is clear out the macro controls and unmap all of these so I can create my own controls. So I think the first thing I want to do is be able to add a bit of high-end clarity here, just some air in the top end. And then I also want to add some clarity around the 1 or 2K range, just to bring out the diction of the vocals. It's something I will typically do here in this range. I want to control both of these at the same time. So I want to be able to push up both of these, but also simultaneously pull down the output gain a little bit, just so when you add the effect that you're not just hearing something as louder, right? So what I'll do is down here on parameter mapping, I'm going to click on this unmapped parameter and then select learn, and then just click on the parameter that you want to learn. So for me, it's the band gain here. And then I'll click this again and select add mapping. This will add a second mapping. So you can see channel EQ peak 3 gain, unmapped. So I select unmapped, click learn, and then click on the high shelf gain as well. So now I've got two controls here mapped to this first parameter here. If I want this parameter up here, if I want to move it, one thing you can do is just select the knob, hold shift, and select both of the parameters here in the parameter mapping. Click on this icon and select cut, then click on a different knob and then paste those parameters. So it's pretty easy to copy and paste things. So I think this first little module here will be like my EQ parameters, and then over here this will be compression parameters. So I like to kind of keep them organized logically. Okay, so I obviously don't want this much of a range here for this knob. I want it to start at 0 and maybe go up about 10 or 12 dB for the high shelf, and maybe about 6 or 8 dB for the band. So what you can do is for each of these controls, like the peak 3 band here, you can set a minimum range and a maximum range. So I'm going to set the minimum range to 0 and the max range to 8 dB. And then for the high shelf, I'll make this 0 and I'll make the max plus 12. So now you can see there is my sort of high-end clarity and presence all in one knob. And then simultaneously, I'm going to control the gain here, the output gain. So what I'll do is add another mapping. And on this one, I'll learn the gain. Now, I want the gain to move down as I move up the bands to compensate for volume. So this is going to be an inverted control. So I'll invert the control. So I'll set the minimum range to like -4 dB, and I'll set the max to 0. So now you can see as I pull up those controls, it pulls down the master gain, sort of compensating for volume. It's not a perfect compensation, but it's better than nothing. It just sort of controls the volume and the gain staging as the signal runs through all of these plugins. So now you can name this control whatever you want. You just double click up here and type in whatever name you want. So I'm going to call this clarity. It's a clarity control. There we go. And then simultaneously, I want to add a bit of a tube drive effect. And I'm going to do that with the vintage console EQ. So I'm going to click on one of my unmapped controls here. I'll click on the unmapped control on that control. Click learn. I'm going to learn the drive knob. I'll add a new mapping. This I'll learn the high gain. And I'll add one more. And this is going to be the mid gain. So for the drive knob, I want the range to be 0 to like, I don't know, maybe around here, well, 11 is the top. So I guess I'll just make it 0 to 8. We'll say 0 to 8. The high gain, I'll just make this like 0 to 6. And then the mid gain, I'll make this 0 to 6 as well. And then I'll also add another mapping, and I'll learn the output volume control here, and I'll make the range like -4 to 0, and I'll invert this control as well. And what I'll call this is console drive. So this is going to give a bit of saturation, a bit of a mid-range and high-range saturation and drive. And it's not a lot. I probably won't use this cranked all the way up. I'll probably just use a touch of it. But you can see that the volume is compensating on this one as well. So let's play around with just these two controls. Let's see how they work out.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell. I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it.
To the clarity knob, I'm going to add the De-Esser. So as you increase the clarity, I need to, on the back end of the signal chain, I need to control that sibilance. So I'm just going to put the max reduction at like maybe 6, and then the threshold around maybe 15 or so. I don't want a lot of it. I just want a very gentle De-Esser. So I'll just add a new mapping. I'll learn the threshold, add another new mapping, and then learn the max reduction. So the threshold will be an inverted control because it's moving down. It'll have a minimum range of, say, -15 dB. Max is 0. And then the reduction will be 6 dB. And this is tied to the clarity knob as well, although I need to invert the reduction as well. There we go. So as you increase this sort of high-end and mid-high-end presence, you're also rolling down the threshold and reduction on a De-Esser to control that sibilance.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell. I can't escape.
Yeah, I might roll down the max reduction a bit more. We'll say 10.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think of proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell.
Okay, next I want to create sort of like a low-end body control. So I'm going to roll the bottom band on the vintage console EQ up to about 150, 160 hertz or so. And I'm just going to control the body here. So with this control, you may want to have less body, but not a lot less. Like if you have like a really bassy singer, you may want to attenuate the low end, but it's not typical. So I am going to sort of factor in a little bit of reduction. Maybe I'll start it around -3, but I'm going to have this boost up to maybe about 12. So I'm going to learn a new unmapped control, click learn, select the gain, and I'll set this as a minimum range from -3 to a max range of +12. And I'll just call this control body. So it's going to control the body of her voice.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think of proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell.
Now I could add a second control, like if, 150 is a bit too low and I think maybe I need a mid-range boost as well, maybe I could add that in here. So maybe I'll do like a 250 hertz boost, and then I'll add a new mapping, learn that control. It's not going to be a lot. We'll just say 0 to +6.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think of proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell.
I think I could actually roll that out a bit more. And you know what I'll do is I'll make this +8 instead of +6. Let's go a bit further with it. We'll make this one +15.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think of proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell. I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think of proving it.
And again, here's with nothing on it.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it.
It's got that boxy sound to it. And then adding all three of these.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think of proving it.
Much more saturated, much more forward, and has a lot more clarity to it. Okay, so now let's focus on the compression. So I'm going to open up both compressors, and I want to make 2 compression controls. I want to make just an overall compression amount, and then I want to make a compression mix control. So I'll click on one of my available unmapped knobs here, and I'm going to learn the threshold, and then I'm also going to learn the ratio for both compressors. So I'll add 4 mappings for each of these threshold and ratio controls. Now, as is, this is going to make them move in the same direction, although the threshold control needs to be inverted. Both of them need to be inverted. So I'll click on each of these and I'll invert the threshold controls. So now we have no compression all the way to the left and more compression as you push it over to the right. The thing is, I don't want my threshold to be -50. I do want my ratio to go up to 8, like it's already showing there. Although the range here says 1 to 30 on this one, so something's going wrong here. But first, let's deal with the threshold. I'm going to make the minimum range like -25. And actually, on the second stage compression, I'll make this -15. It should be more gentle. This one can be like -25 at max. So there you go. So I'm getting -25 and -15 over here. Now let's worry about the ratio. So the ratio for the first stage of compression can be somewhere between like 1 and we'll say 10 to 1. So there we go. Now something weird is happening here, and I noticed this in my test video before I made this. Even though I set this down here to 10 to 1, it's only going up to like 4 to 1 for some reason. If you click on that parameter, if this happens to you, click on that parameter, click this scaling open. This will allow you to control the scaling of that control. So you can have like an exponential, You can have linear control. You can have these S-curve shapes. Some of these controls come with pre-mapped scaling, so you may have to come in here and then just click on linear to set that back to a linear scaling, and now you can see it's going all the way up to 10:1 over here. So we'll do the same thing with the ratio on the secondary compression. This ratio can actually go up a lot because the threshold is actually not going to be going down too much. So I'm going to set the max on this to like 15:1, and I'll open this up and just make sure that I reset the scaling. And now I have simultaneous control over both of these. Now there are some fixed controls in here that I don't want to move, like the auto gain. I'm turning that off on both of these. I want the makeup gain to just be at 0. For my optical compression, I'll set the knee somewhere in the middle, open up the attack a bit, and for the FET compression, I'm going to pull down the attack time a bit, and then that should do it. So let's see how this sounds on the vocals. I'm just going to call this comp amount. So this is the compressor amount.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell.
Another thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to assign the input gain to the comp amount just to pull it up a little bit more, because sometimes if you have a really soft singer or the recording was done at a lower level, you may have to pull up the input gain in order to get the compressor to actually react more. So I'm going to add a mapping on this, and I'm going to learn the input gain. And it doesn't have to be a lot. I'm just going to make it 0 to like 3 dB, just a touch of gain on input.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it.
Okay, we can go a little further than that. We'll go 6 dB.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell.
So one thing I need to do with the optical compressor is I think I need to pull down the threshold a bit more. So we'll do like -35 instead of 25. I'm rarely going to use this at the max setting, but I want to be able to get into these middle settings here without having to crank the control too much.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell.
Okay, the next control is I want to create a mix macro. So just click on this next one, and I will learn the mix here. I'll create a new mapping, learn this mix knob as well. And this one's real simple. It's just as is. 0% means no compression. 100% means full compression. If you want to sort of do some parallel compression, you can blend this in between, just like so.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it.
The last thing I want to do on compression is I want to add a gain control to the very last compressor. So it's just going to be the makeup gain here. So select a new control, and I will learn the makeup gain. And I don't want this to be like the full range. I'm going to set this to 0 to like 7 dB. I don't want a lot of makeup gain.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell.
Okay, so now you can see I've got 7 controls controlling all 5 of these plugins all at once. Let's roll all of these down just so we can hear the before, and then I'll slowly pull them in so you can hear the effect it has on the vocal.
I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell. I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell. I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it. Can't help myself, stubborn as hell. I can't escape, think I'm losing it. I make mistakes, think I'm proving it.
So for this, I'm going to save this as a channel strip setting. So I'll just click save channel strip setting as. And I've already made a folder here called macro controls, and I have one called vocals 1. So I'm just going to call this vocals 2. And now if I ever want to recall this for later, all you have to do is click on your channel strip settings, go down to that folder, macro controls, and select vocals 2. And it loads up the whole channel strip as is with all of the settings already there. And you can dial in whatever setting you like. Now I'm going to make this channel strip setting available for everyone to download for free. So I'll just save this on my desktop. I'll just call this vocal macros, and I'll make this CST file available to download for free. Just check the link in the video description below. Once again, a big thanks to Sophia VERAZ for letting me use her new song for a demonstration for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. As always, thank you so much for the support, and thanks for watching.